All right, my profile, my background, long story short, worked with a great mentor and Coach Sawyer down at Winona State. He was my position coach when I walked on campus as a defensive back. 2 years later, he was our head coach. At that point, I was a running back. He hired me as a GA. He allowed me to be a position coach and a coordinator. And on the other end of that, with Coach Caruso at St. Thomas, really two guys that have changed the way I think about leading people and the game of football and life. And in between, we had some rebuilds there. But what I take away from my experience, I've coached every position in college football except for defensive line. I've been an offensive coordinator for 5 years. I've been a special teams coordinator for 13 of the 21 years. And I spent 8 years on defense, 7 of which were with Wally Kuczynski at St. Thomas, which I viewed as some of the best lessons I've ever learned in football. And having that balance really allowed me to get touches with everyone on the team, and I think and learn and grow more. Within the consulting piece, I've worked with head coaches, and really there's kind of 3 layers to head coaches in saying, hey, I'm comfortable with bringing a consultant in. There is the seeker. Sometimes seekers are high-achieving guys that are at the upper end, and they're looking for that little extra edge. Sometimes seekers are guys that are constantly looking for something else and have no base and understanding of who they are. So being a seeker doesn't necessarily mean you're achieving at a high level. At the same end, we have, and you'll see over to the right here, I don't know if I can slide that screen, if you guys can see who the clients are, or if Rick can help me out with that. But we also have guys that are confirmers that are saying, you know what, we've been with this staff for a long time and we have continuity. We just want to make sure that what we're doing isn't hurting our guys, and it's good and it's solid. And then the last stage is you kind of have the flatliners. And again, you can be a flatliner that says, we're going to do what we've always done and have a ton of success. You can also be a flatliner and look around and go, why aren't we winning? Because we aren't bringing new ideas into the program. So it's kind of the layers in which it's worked for us. I spend a lot of time. Okay, so a lot of these football staffs are based in education. There's teachers running these programs, but in some, these are not teachers. And I like to figure out, I like to ask, how do you see your program working from an autocratic, parental, or servant leadership model? And then I can also assess that on being on site. And really when it comes down to it, are you doing things for yourself as the head coach? Are you doing things to benefit the program? Or are you doing things to benefit the individual, the servant leadership model? And then how does this come to an apex? You know, this is the very best of consulting. You say, well, I want to regrow, I want to retain. In season and out season, we do a lot of consulting with watching film and creating strategy reports and prepping people for how to get more efficient. But come playoff time, we are a consultant that you can bring in to do scouting, advanced scouting, be there on game nights to help you with some different things. And this was kind of the pinnacle for us in year 1. There was no year 2, I want to note, because of COVID. There was just a year 1. So Jalen Suggs says, hey, the greatest moment I've ever had winning the section championship against Benilde. And on that night, I had done some advanced scouting for them. I gave them kind of a report on what to think. And then I drew this up on a napkin that night. Now, you got to give the coaches credit. They're adaptable enough. We had talked about during the week, and I drew this up. We need to get number 3 on number 29 and run a shake concept. I'm going to get out of here and jump into, again, kind of the pinnacle of what this was all about. So stop share. We got number 3 down on the bottom here. We get the matchup we want. There's 50 seconds left in the game. I drew this play up at halftime, and this is how it plays out. Jalen Suggs is the quarterback. Yeah, easy to consult for a team that has Jalen Suggs on it. I get it. But we were looking at matchups that week against a really, really good team. And little things that you talk about, quarterback center exchanges is so important. I don't know why high schools and colleges don't do it every day, but imagine this play not happening because of a bad snap. Thankfully, Jalen Suggs is able to make the play, doesn't hit the running back. And that's kind of the pinnacle of what I see happening when we're at our best and being able to consult. To give you an understanding is what happens. You bring this guy on, what does he do? This would be an example of what we do and what a report would look like. So it's going to lay out, I'm going to give you an overview of the time that I spent with you. It might be on your practice flow, it might be on your coaching styles, your ratios, and all that stuff, what I call coach power. When I look around, how many coaches are doing something and what are they doing? Your staff, does it have diversity? Not just racial, not just with age, but is there some continuity, and is there some diversity with the types of personalities that you have? Facilities compared to others, no one ever thinks they have good facilities. A lot of them do. My biggest concern with what I've seen from your program, and then it's your strengths. And when I score this, when I'm doing this, on the left side of my notepad are all the strengths that I see. On the right side are my notes of things that you're not doing that I think you could do better. It's a recommendation, and I create an action plan to execute that. Or it's things I'm just not seeing. And if I'm there for a day or two, there might be a lot of things I don't see. So you can just exclude it if it's something that you're already doing. And this is how it lays out. I go right through my time there, meeting room, all your strengths, pre-practice, strengths, team takeoff, OD, special teams, all the way down. And then we get into recommendations and proposals, and it's the same thing. This is what you're not doing, this is what I would do, and this is how you execute it, okay? And at the end, I'll often do some things with questions that I have for you. I rank coaches, I talk about personnel that I saw and such. If you're more interested, again, this is not up right now, it will be by the end of the day. This is the website. It's just www.routetreemn.com, and it takes you through what football consulting is. All levels, comprehensive on site. You get a pre-consult, a synopsis, which is basically a strategy report, and then the action plans that go with it. And this is what I've heard from coaches. It helps us with efficiency. It's made us better in terms of growing and retaining. Our kids are having more fun at practice. Our coaches are having more fun at practice. And it gives us validation. There's testimonials and everything that you're going to get out of a website. Route Tree 3 and 3 and saying who we are. You know what, before I get to that, just a few quick stats. This is basically, you know, my experience in football. 235 games coached, 1,300 practices, 1,500 plus films, and that's just as a college coach. But I'm going to tell you, over 21 years, my 22nd year where I got to go out and consult for 60 practices, 45 I was working. 3 college programs, 21 high school programs, some mentoring, also some youth programs. But I also had 15 practices in which I went to the NFL, Philadelphia Eagles. My brother Carson was coaching there at the time. Now he's with the Cleveland Browns. I went to 5 to 8 Minnesota Gopher practices. I went to some Badger practices with some connections, and I just got to sit there and view. It was like every one of them was a clinic to me. I was pulling 3, 4, 5 things that could benefit a program. So when I go and watch your program, I say, I'm not seeing them do this. I saw the Gophers do it. I saw Minnetonka do it. I saw Caledonia do it. I saw Nicollet do it. And this could really help you out. I grew almost as much in that year. I felt like I doubled my knowledge. So how do you get 250 winning edges compiled, which I'm going to share some of these at the end? You consult and you learn and you grow. So it's basically every clinic I've ever been to and everything I've ever done. Some interesting things that came up. Average coach athlete coach ratio in all of my consulting, it looked like it was about 7 to 1 in this state. I did a support staff thank you meter. I just asked people to help your program based on what you do. How often do you get a thank you when you think you've done something for someone? And on a 1 to 10 scale, most people said the average was a 6, okay? And I talked about the scoring earlier. You got left column and you got right column. Left, strength, right, recommendations, proposals. Our average over the year was in June and July was 41 and 48, but as I consulted more, our reports got bigger. 76 strengths on average in October, 113 recommendations.